Welcome to the Fourth in Clutch podcast, the best sports podcast you have never heard of. I'm one of your hosts, Darren. This is episode 0, and joining me today will be my co-host or other host, Elias. Kind of take it from here, man.
Yeah, what's going on, y'all? Super excited to get this thing going. We're here to talk everything sports related, as well as prop bets, fantasy football. All of our links will be posted down below. And without further ado, let's jump into it.
All right, guys. So we're gonna start off with the game that just ended tonight for Thursday Night Football. My incompetent Philadelphia Eagles against the 2013 New York Giants. I'm gonna let Elias go first because I got a lot of shit to get off my chest. So I'm gonna let him go first.
Yeah, I mean, with this game, I'm starting to think that Jackson Dart's starting to look legit. Philly's play calling woes with Kevin Patullo. I'll let you jump into that one here in a second, but man, it's looking rough. This offense is for sure missing Kellen Moore. New York Giants offense, is it good or is Philly's defense just bad? Because I'm starting to think that Vic Fangio is starting to lose his magic. We did have, some good things, some bad things to take away from both sides. Eagles defense coming into this game was 20th in yards allowed. Their pass defense was about 15th in the league, and their rush defense was about 22nd. So,
I would say that it's a bit of an overreaction to say Vic Fangio lost his magic because we lost Quinyon Mitchell in the first quarter due to a hamstring injury. We didn't play with Jalen Carter tonight. He didn't play tonight. Landon Dickerson was hurt on the offensive side of the ball. And the one thing I will say that I think Vic Fangio needs to just bite the bullet on is he just needs to move Cooper Dishing to that second outside corner spot. Keely Ringo made Jalen Hyatt look like Odell Beckham tonight. Dory Jackson made little Jordan Humphrey look like Randy Moss out there. And it just looked terrible all around. Like, the offense has been a problem the whole year. Defensively, we dealt with injuries tonight, of course. Losing Quinyon, who's arguably a top 5 corner in the game right now, is of course huge because it does change your whole scheme up. But I do think Vic Fangio needs to stop just leaving Coop in that slot, in that nickel spot, that slot, and just move him to outside DB2 because we're so weak there. If we could shut down the two number 1 and number 2 receivers, it will limit the mistakes from Adoree Jackson or Keely Ringo. We have them in the slot instead of Cooper Dishing.
yeah, no, I agree. I mean, at this point, I read off the defensive ratings for the whole year. I mean, something has to change. Your pass defense for sure is your guys' high point out of everything that you guys have. But, I mean, without Quinyon Mitchell, I mean, what is there left? You know what I mean? Like, let's try to move some things around. Let's try something different. I mean, of course, you guys went without Jalen Carter tonight as well. I believe he had an injury. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough sledding moving forward. Philly's got a tough schedule going forward too as well. I mean, they got Minnesota next. They got the Giants again afterwards, possibly get their revenge on that. And then a much needed bye after the Giants game, and then followed by Green Bay. So, tough schedule moving forward, but got to make adjustments and got to move on from here.
Yeah, look at the real problem with this damn team. Kevin Patullo, I need you to swim across the Hudson River from Jersey back to Philly. I don't know the connection. I don't care if you can swim or not. I don't want you back in Philly. You are terrible. I have never seen offensive play calling so abysmal since I've been watching football. I thought the Brian Johnson era of Philadelphia Eagle offensive play calling was the worst I'd ever see until I saw this year. We are 95% of our snaps are in shotgun, and you could tell what we're running based on how Saquon is lined up in those formations. If we're in any type of a pistol formation, it's a run play 100%. No play action coming, nothing. Saquon had in the first half 8 carries for about 56 yards, averaging a good amount of yards to carry, and we didn't capitalize on that. We are trying to throw the ball to set up the run, but it's not working because our run game is so predictable. And the issue that I'm having with this offense is that Kellen Moore's offense was nothing extravagant last year. It was simplified, dumbed down with a great run game. He used motion very well. He set up play action very well. I will give Kellen Moore that. Kevin Patullo has no innovation, and this is now the second time where we lost Shane Steichen. We promoted Brian Johnson from within. We lost Kellen Moore, and we promoted Kevin Patullo from within. We need to stop with these internal hires just because we think that they know the system and the offense better than, or they just repeat what we did last year. It doesn't work
Yeah.
that way, especially finding out that Kevin Patullo was never called at any level of football. He's never called it at high school, at a college, and we just give him a Super Bowl winning offense, and we're having him call plays this year. No, like how if this, I'll say this: this year so far has been a like come back to earth moment for Howie Roseman too. I do have to put some blame on Howie. He didn't do enough to beef up that secondary. I do think Andrew Mukuba will develop into something special for us to be he'd be a solidified safety next to Reed Blankenship. But that DB2 being the way that it is, we need to be willing to make moves to get DB2 there if we're that determined to leave Coop in the slot.
There's just a lot to take away from this game. Moving forward, Philly moving to what, 4-2 right now?
We're 4-2. I mean, it's just tough because our division is not that good. If I'm being very
No.
blunt, the Cowboys have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. Yeah, they're offensive explosive, but they're being a Bengals situation from last year where Joe Burrow should have won MVP, but because they didn't make the playoffs because their defense is so bad, he didn't win the MVP. The
Yeah.
Cowboys are in that situation so far this year, and they're putting up these numbers these last 2 weeks without CD Lamb. So the offense is only get better when CD Lamb does come back, and the Eagles should have every opportunity to capitalize on a poor division. Jaden Daniels is coming back from injury. He's trying to get back into game shape too, and there's no reason we should be getting cooked by Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbu. Like I'm personally high on Jackson Dart. I was high on him coming into the draft. I kind of got a little like, damn, like the Giants got him. Like they got one. That's how I felt when they drafted him, and we saw it tonight. He has moxie. He has a swagger to him that you saw Brian Dable run into that blue tent when he got hurt. Like Brian Dable sprinted to the blue tent before they even pulled the blue tent down. He was in there to make sure
Oh
Jackson
yeah,
Dart was okay.
you saw Cam Scatterbu in there, and Brian Dable had to pull him out. He's like, "Come on, come out. We need you."
Yeah, so we had a chance to really capitalize on taking advantage of our division. And it's just so frustrating because like I was talking to one of my other buddies the other day, and I was like, we are the worst 4-0 team I've seen in a while because we should have been 1-4 coming 1-4 or 1-3 coming into this game or 1-4 coming into this game. The Packers game, I don't know what that offense was in the second half of that Packers game. I don't know if it was just Jalen Hurts getting sick man calling his own offense or if it was Nick Sirianni taking over play calling. They said it's Patullo, but whatever we ran in the second half of that Rams game, we need to just do for the rest of the season. But to end kind of like this little conversation of the Thursday night recap, I just know the Miami Dolphins need to fire Mike McDaniel so we can bring him on as an OC, or we need to call good old Doug Peterson to see if he's down to be an OC.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I mean, that would be a lot better than what you guys got right now with Kevin Patullo. We'll see what happens moving forward. Like I said, you guys do have the Minnesota Vikings coming up, New York Football Giants after that, and then a much needed bye. So we'll see.
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna lose our next two probably going into the bye week. I'm kind of stressing that. I think the bye will be a hard reset, but I wouldn't be surprised if during the bye week we see Nick Sirianni take over play calling, or we just see a change at the OC position overall come the bye week. To be honest with you, like it wouldn't surprise me one bit because I think we need it. The whole offense is frustrated. Even tonight, like I didn't even talk about this play, but Jalen Hurts overthrew Devontae Smith on a wide open 90-yard touchdown. No one within 10 yards of him, and he's completely overthrew him. Like no one on his offense is on the same page, and it shows night in night out as frustrations from the coaching staff, from the players. And I know it's bad when I know people that coach football, high school football here where we live, and they could call better offense than Kevin Patullo can. And I bet my life on that.
Well, you see it from the fans, you see it from the team, you see it from the players, the coaches. This is a very frustrated team, probably the most frustrated 4-2 team you're ever going to see.
So that's the recap for the Thursday night football game. We will now go into the rest of the week 6 predictions. We'll kind of go from there, starting with the Broncos and the Jets in London. I'll take this one first. Pretty easy one for me. The Jets have been struggling on both sides of the ball, and defense travels. I wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos won by 2 or 3 touchdowns. I could see the typical Jets thing that we've seen this whole year, where they come back strong in the fourth quarter, make a little run, and make the game closer than what it actually is. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's just a complete blowout by the Broncos from their defense. I could see Bo Nix having a get right game here, like he did against the Bengals a few weeks ago, and just kind of start building his momentum up. You got right against the Bengals. You played a great fourth quarter against the Eagles last week when we lost to them, and now you're going against the Jets, where you just keep building on the momentum, and that, in my opinion, could be a scary thing going forward, because if the Broncos defense starts firing and Bo Nix gets in a rhythm, that's a very dangerous team in the AFC.
Yeah. And I mean, this is probably going to be my upset alert of the week. I'm going to pick the Jets actually to beat the Broncos over there in London. So the way I look at it, Justin Fields has been playing mediocre to solid at this point. His rushing upside can never be overlooked. Garrett Wilson has been playing out of his brains. It's almost like Aaron Glenn needs to remind Justin Fields, like, hey, there's Garrett Wilson on the field. It almost seems like their OC just kind of like tends to forget that they have a Garrett Wilson, and then they don't feed him until the absolute end of the game when it's already out of reach. So my keys to getting this victory is they need to get Garrett Wilson involved early and often. Run the ball, set the pace. The Broncos do have a great defense, and with Pat Surtain, it's not going to be easy. I mean, if I had to say, he's probably the best DB in the entire league. So, get him as involved as you can, but, set the tone, run the ball with Breece Hall, get the ball moving, and maybe feed the rookie Mason Taylor at tight end. But yeah, something in my gut's telling me this is going to be the upset of the week right here.
I'm a Justin Fields apologist, as you guys will learn through this podcast. I have the highest hopes for Justin Fields. I want to be successful. And I do think Aaron Glenn is a good culture setter. I think he can set a culture, but I'm very disappointed in how this defense is playing from Aaron Glenn being a defensive-minded coach. Like, this defense has the talent to be really good, but they have regressed. Sauce Gardner, I'll be honest with you, he's looking like the most over. This year alone, specifically this year, his contract is looking really bad so far, because he's the highest paid corner in the NFL right now, and he's not even playing like a top 10 corner this year. He's getting burnt consistently. He's giving up inside leverage consistently. I saw him get cooked by George Pickens, who's not a good route runner. George Pickens is not that good a receiver. He's a freak athlete. I will give him that. But his route tree is not very diverse, and he had Sauce Gardner in hell the whole week.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it is with that. My concern with what you said is trying to get Garrett Wilson fed early. That's be really hard, because Pat Surtain's going to be shadowing him the whole game. I saw last week in the Eagles game, unless they're playing zone, he will not be on Garrett Wilson. That's one time you get a chance to get Garrett Wilson going. I think the biggest key to victory, if the Jets do have a chance, I would say Justin Fields and Breece Hall need to combine for over 150 yards rushing.
Yeah, like I said, get the ball rolling, keep it on the ground, establish dominance early, set the tone. So now let's go ahead and move forward to our 11 o'clock slot, Mountain Standard Time over here.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off with, what was that?
So the best time zone to watch football, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. This could either kill or completely dominate your whole fantasy football lineup right here. So let's move on to our first game of the morning. We're going to have the Los Angeles Rams versus the Baltimore Ravens. So I'll go ahead and take it right here first. I definitely got the Rams in this one. Baltimore is looking atrocious with all these injuries piling up. They're one of the teams right now that they can't shake this injury bug right now. And Los Angeles Rams, even though they've lost a couple of games in heartbreak fashion, that offense is just rolling. Puka Nacua is looking like he's going to be the Triple Crown winner this year. He's looking like he's going to be Offensive Player of the Year. Matthew Stafford, I as a Bears fan, I watched him for many years, but there were some throws I was seeing him make, and I'm like, this dude's legit. And I've been known it, but I just need to get that reminder every once in a while. So who do you have in this one?
The Rams. The Ravens have a JV defense at best right now with all their injuries. You have Cooper Rush starting. Yeah, man, it's it's going to be a lot to little in the favor of the Rams.
Yeah.
If you have any Ravens players, I honestly would even consider playing them in fantasy football. If I'm being honest with you, maybe Zay Flowers you keep in there because I think he'll get force fed by Cooper Rush, like kind of like he was last week. But even then, this could be a lot to little. So I don't really have high hopes for this game. This is a game that I'm not really care to watch, even if at all,
Yeah.
just because you kind of know the outcome going into it. The next game I want to talk about in the 11 o'clock slate is going to be what I think is one of the better games is the Seahawks at the Jags. A high power Seahawks offense versus the current best defense in football right now. The Jags are playing all cylinders on the defensive end. The Seahawks lost a heartbreaker last week to the Buccaneers. Sam Darnold threw a great pass over the middle, just hit off the defender's head and got picked off. Kind of the most Sam Darnold thing to ever happen, of course, unfortunately for him. But I do think the current best receiver, the guy's been the best wideout, the best receiver in football right now, in my opinion, is JSN over Puka, who we just talked about in the last segment. My small argument as to why I have JSN over Puka right now is Puka has 18 more receptions than JSN, but only has 54 more total yards receiving than JSN. And they have the same amount of touchdowns. So I think Jason's playing the best football right now at the wide receiver spot. I think Sam Darnold's playing great. The Seahawks are figuring out that run game. That's the key right here. Kenneth Walker's starting to look good. I do think they can use a little more Zach Charbonnet to really balance out that run game. It could be really hectic. And Torrey Horton is starting to ascend for the Seahawks out of Colorado State. They kind of draft him as to be a punt returner, just kind of be that burner guy, but he's that wide receiver too now. Cooper Kupp is not Cooper Kupp anymore. He's Kupp Cooper now. he's clear wide receiver 3 on that team. When it comes to the Jags, my concern for them for this game is 100% their offense. And I think you can agree with that their offense has a lot left to be desired.
Yeah, no, I mean, Jacksonville, I mean, Trevor Lawrence, the double trip up run in for a touchdown to beat the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. That was beautiful to watch as a Chiefs hater myself. But in all seriousness, he hasn't looked very great, regardless, it's almost like they're kind of winning in spite of their offense being lackluster. It's nice to see ETN kind of get his own finally, but they're not using him in the receiving game. And I feel like that's a huge part of what makes him, that could elevate him to the elite category is like, utilize him in his receiving usage, get him up, get the ball in his hands off to the side, quick running back screen, just a quick dump off down the middle, whatever, get this guy the ball in his hands, because when you do, things happen, special things happen. So yeah, in this one, I definitely got Seattle as well. I just think that offense in Seattle is humming a little too well, and it is against the best defense in football right now, but I don't think that Jacksonville can keep up. I think Seattle's defense is pretty solid in their own right. So
I agree with you with that.
I think it's going to come to an attrition of offense and who can outlast who. And I think that Seattle is going to get a few touchdowns ahead of them early. Jacksonville's going to have to come back. And, maybe I have this one probably 24-20. I don't think it's going to be a super high scoring game with these solid defenses, but we'll see. And then the next game we got for the 11 a.m. slate, we got Dallas Cowboys versus the Carolina Panthers. Who do you got in this one?
This game is going to be interesting to me. I know what people are thinking. It's Carolina. The Cowboys defense is humming, or the Cowboys offense is humming. They're going to drop 40 probably. But the Cowboys defense is just so bad to me. And Carolina could run the ball decently well, as we saw last week with Rico Dowdle. And this is a Rico Dowdle revenge game in a way, because he was on Dallas last year. They didn't re-sign him. Could be a revenge game. Just that Dallas defense is so bad to me personally. That secondary is still struggling to figure it out. Deron Bland still isn't back from injury. Trevon Diggs isn't the Trevon Diggs of old. I will expect a big game out of Teteroa McMillan this game. I think this will be a breakout game for him for sure. Just because I don't think anyone on that defense could cover him. And the Cowboys still don't have a pass rush. It is Bryce Young. You don't know where to get out of Bryce Young. He could either go off or just play like he did his rookie year, which was not very good.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a close game. I'm going to slightly lean towards the Cowboys because their offensive firepower, but I would say I would have the score being high scoring again. I would say 38-31 Dallas, if I had to give a score.
Okay. Yeah, I got Dallas on this one as well. I think high-powered offense. Carolina's defense, actually, their DBs have held receivers for fantasy purposes, have held the receivers pretty well. So we'll see what George Pickens can do. You got Flournoy breaking out last week with over 100 yards receiving with about 10 catches. But yeah, I don't know. Bryce Young hasn't really impressed me this year. He's looking like Bryce Young from the beginning of the season. He's not looking like Bryce Young from the tail end of last year. So, that's kind of giving me, just the inkling to just lean Dallas on this one. I think Dallas's offense is top 5 in the league right now. They're just humming in all aspects of the game. Ferguson's going off. Javonte Williams looks like he rediscovered a brand new knee. I don't know. This is definitely looking like Dallas in this one, but I would love to see some Rico Dowdle get a revenge game, eclipsing over 200 yards last week. So we'll see. And then next on the slate, we got Arizona versus Indy. Arizona, of course, going to probably be without Kyler Murray as he did not practice again today. So, yeah, it's going to be a hard one, but who do you got in this one?
Indy. I don't think it's going to be that close of a game. The Cardinals just aren't a good team, man. They have a lot of talent on the other side of the ball with Marvin Harrison Jr., who is starting to play to what we expected him to be like last year. So I will say the one bright spot is Marvin Harrison Jr. with his ascension, is him starting to play better. You still have Trey McBride. You're dealing with a lot of injuries at the running back position right now. Michael Carter is your RB1 going into this week. He had a great game last week, but we'll see what happens this week without Kyler there, without Kyler able to use his legs. I still got Indy. I think this will be a game where they'll just run the ball with Jonathan Taylor the whole game, just really dominate the game on the ground like they have been in most of their wins. Just this Arizona team is just not good, man. Like this team has a lot left to be desired. But yeah, overall, Indianapolis, Indiana Jones. Go Colts.
Yeah, I mean the ascension of Danny Dimes, he's back to being that. I mean, it's insane to watch. I watched him win a couple of games. I'm like, I'm still not buying the hype. And then I see him play, and I actually had to watch a Indianapolis Colts game because I ended up getting Jonathan Taylor in one of my fantasy football leagues. But I'm sorry, Daniel Jones looks pretty legit this year. I mean, he's actually betting odds. I think he's 5th last I checked for MVP right now. So it's crazy to see the ascension of him. And, I'm glad to see it. New York Giants just didn't put a team around him quick enough. And yeah, it's nice to see a team take advantage of his talent that, was probably there all along. He was on the New York Football Giants. So that's what happened. So I definitely got Indy in this one. I actually had to look up that they had Jacoby Brissett as a backup for Arizona. I had no clue who their backup was. But yeah, I got Indy a lot to a little. Jumping into the next game, we are going to have the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Miami Dolphins. And I'll go with my prediction first. I got the Chargers getting a bounce back game right here, a get right game. Miami's been struggling. Jalen Waddle finally getting enough targets to, reestablish himself for that talent that we saw back in 2023. And it's nice to see. Unfortunately, it came at the cost of Tyreek Hill losing his entire leg. But, Miami's defense is atrocious. I know Los Angeles Chargers right now, it's like, who's going to be the running back? Is it going to be Haskins? Is it going to be Vidal? Have no idea. I'm assuming that they're just probably going to try to establish the run game. When they have to bail on it, they'll bail on it quickly. And they're just going to have Herbert air it out to QJ, who discovered he's got hands all of a sudden, Keenan Allen, and Lad McConkey, hopefully. So, yeah, I got Los Angeles Chargers in this one convincingly.
I'm actually gonna take the Dolphins in this one. I'm
Upset alert.
depressed I am depressed right now because I have Ryan Hamilton in fantasy football, and he's gonna be my league saver. But now I'm depressed and don't know what to do with my life right now with fantasy football. But we'll get out of it. We'll get out of the slump. But the reason I'm going with the Dolphins is I think their offense has. This might sound crazy, but I think their offense is a little better without Tyreek Hill because Tua's not trying to force feed Tyreek now. I feel like Tyreek did get a lot of force feeding out of Tua. So now that there's not a Tyreek Hill presence there, I do feel like it does make this offense a bit better in terms of just spraying the ball around and having a more balanced game. I just think that this Chargers offensive line is so depleted going into this game that it's gonna be hard for them to run the ball or throw the ball. It is to
Yeah.
be a game where Herbert does probably throw about 40 times this game. I wouldn't be surprised if he has 40 plus pass attempts. But I just think with that depleted O line, the Dolphins are not there's as long as you have Mike McDaniel calling your plays, you're gonna have a good offense. You're gonna have a good offensive scheme. He may not be the best head coach, but for scheming up an offense, he's still gonna execute pretty well. It is against the Jim Harbaugh defense, of course, but we'll see what happens with that. But I do have the Dolphins in, I guess what you call an upset in this one, despite the Chargers coming off a 2-game skid.
All right, and then for the next game, we got Cleveland versus Pittsburgh, division rivalry. So I'm going to start off. Pittsburgh hasn't necessarily wowed me with Aaron Rodgers, as I like to refer to him as, but I still got Pittsburgh in this one. Dylan Gabriel looked good feeding the tight ends last week. Finally got to see some life out of Njoku. Quinshon Judkins, man, he's looking legit. He's looking like he's probably, if not the best, probably the second best running back in that class. Not named Amarian Hampton due to injury, but he's looking legit. He's getting yards in spite of that offense not doing anything. And every team knows that, hey, they're going to run the ball 20 times with Quinshon Judkins, but it doesn't matter. He still gets his 100 yards and a tutty. So even with that being said, though, this Cleveland defense is legit, but I think I do have Pittsburgh narrowly in this one. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I do have Pittsburgh probably in this matchup, probably 20-17.
I definitely agree with you with it being a low scoring game. I can see it being 2017, 17-14 type game. I do have the Browns winning this one though. This is to be Dylan Gabriel's first week with the full actual game plan for him. Last week, I think Kevin Stefanski played it really safe with them having to go to London for his first start and play against a Brian Flores defense. I think you try to simplify the offense, try not to make it too hard on Dylan Gabriel, get the ball out, get it to the check down. I think it's a little bit different now that he's had a full week to prepare. The Steelers defense has a lot to be desired right now. It's not the Steelers defense that we've gotten to know and be legit. Darius Slay is dealing with the injury, I believe, still. Jalen Ramsey's not looking like Jalen Ramsey right now. There's something about the Steelers team that I don't like, and it could be the Aaron Rodgers thing. And I just kind of think they've been the beneficiary of teams kind of shooting themselves in the foot to get them their wins rather than it actually being more good Steelers. But I'm going to take the Browns in the game 17-14. I say Quinshon Judkins probably goes off. And I kind of think this week in particular, now that Joe Flacco's been traded, that kind of tells you that Shador is the number 2 on that roster. Whether Kevin Stefanski admits it or not, ownership loves Shador. I think that Dylan Gabriel will play with a lot of confidence and a fire under him this week. Now that he knows Shador is right on his ass. So I got the Browns 17-14, about 17-14 is what I'll go with.
So the next game we're going to jump into is New England versus New Orleans. With this game, Drake May, he's looked legit this whole year. His completion percentage is upwards of 70-some% right now. That offense is finally starting to click with Stephon Diggs getting week after week removed from his ACL injury last year. And yeah, that offense is starting to get it together. Their defense is, middle of the pack right now, but I definitely have them over New Orleans in this game. I like what I see from Spencer Rattler. It's just an awful New Orleans team. Kellen Moore, you can tell that he's not opening up his full bag because unfortunately he just doesn't have the weapons to right now with Chris Olave playing, scared. And I don't blame him. Dude's one more concussion away from ending out the league probably at this point. So other than that, they got Shaheed, Jawan Johnson's old. They got, Taysom Hill, who's, a gadget player who looked horrible last week. But again, him coming back from injury as well is not going to help. But yeah, with a depleted New Orleans Saints team, lack of talent, I got New England in this one.
I got New England pretty easily in this one too. Coming off a great win against the Bills on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
I think they got a lot of momentum going their way right now. That New Orleans defense is struggling a lot in the secondary. So I could see New England airing out the ball a lot more, especially with all the injuries that they're dealing with in the running back room. Antonio Gibson might be out for the year. Is looking like Ramondre Stevens has a fumbling issue. For some reason, they don't trust Travion Henderson. They need to because I need fantasy points. I want to trust him in fantasy, but I can't because Josh McDaniels hates him. That's neither here or there. Patriots a lot to little.
All right, and then for the 2 o'clock games, we have Tennessee with the Las Vegas Raiders opening up that slate. What do you think about that one?
That's a terrible game to have a 2 o'clock slate. Oh my lord. Um, Tennessee. Why? I don't have a reason. Geno Smith might throw 4 picks. Give me Tennessee.
Yeah, Gino's looking atrocious. He's looking back to his New York Jets days where he just looked like an absolute bust. Maybe it's just Seattle's culture that saved him, but he's looking atrocious right now. And Cam Ward's looking a little bit better, but again, same thing with Spencer Rattler, just lack of talent around him. Calvin Ridley, up until this last game, looked like he just didn't want to play football anymore. Looks like he wanted to go gamble a
Sports
little
bet
bit more. Yeah, set a few parlays. But yeah, I got Las Vegas in this one narrowly. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game either. I think it's going to basically just be a mid off on this one. And then moving into our next game, we got San Francisco versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I'll take this one. The Niners got their better quarterback playing in Mac Jones right now. Instead of that fraud, overpaid quarterback Brock Purdy. We'll get that. We'll get to that another day. Give me the Bucks by a lot. That the 49ers are just something about that team just seems off this year. Kittle's not there. They're trying to figure out that wide receiver room because they're doing a lot of injuries in that wide receiver room. If you are a sports bettor, I would hammer Christian McCaffrey receptions. Definitely hammer the over on that. But other than that, I think it's going to be a lot to little. Honestly, the Bucks are humming right now. Baker Mayfield is probably the leading MVP favorite as of right now, if I had to say. And Emeka Ibuka is having one of the greatest offensive wide receiver seasons we've ever seen, up there with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson's rookie seasons. He is the definitive number one on that team now, 100%. Even when Mike Evans comes back, Ibuka is the future. He's the number one. I got the Bucks 28-17.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, San Francisco, I don't know if it's their training staff or their medical staff, whatever, but they need to fire every single one of them top to bottom. I don't know if they're going to them with a bruised knee and then they dislocate the knee and pop it out of place. I have no idea what's going on over there because everyone and their mother has an injury or is ending up on the injury report coming Sunday. So, yeah, with all the injuries, Mac Jones looked pretty solid last week against the Rams. And, it's starting to seem like it might just be a Shanahan tree or Shanahan system, I should say.
It is.
Yeah, bringing Mac Jones out from the grave and just making him look like a solid quarterback, But yeah, with the lack of weapons being there, it looks like Ricky Pearsall's, or he's for sure rolled out this week. It's looking like Juwan Jennings is going to be out. Kittle's still obviously out. Ayuk still hasn't found the field yet. So with Kendrick Bourne being the leading receiver, or I should say McCaffrey, yeah, I definitely got Tampa Bay in this one. All right. And then the next game, we got Cincinnati versus Green Bay. And this one, it's not – I personally don't think it's going to be as much of a blowout as most think. I do believe that Green Bay will take this narrowly, but I do think it's going to be higher scoring than most people think.
It's gonna be interesting with Flacco starting for the Bengals this week. Like they traded for him and instantly inserted him. One thing I have learned over the last few years is like if you just throw Flacco into a situation where he has no expectations, he plays very well. Yeah. If you make him the guy, he struggles. And Joe Flacco already beat the Packers this year with the Browns.
Yep.
Give me the Bengals.
Okay, upset alert right there. And now let's move into our Sunday night game where we got a nice little treat for us. We got the Detroit Lions versus the Kansas City Chiefs.
Lions by 40. I'm not even trying to sound crazy. The Lions are, I'm telling you guys now, that week 1 game against the Packers was one of the most insane, like out of character performances for that Lions offense, and it also made people it also made the Packers look like Super Bowl contenders off that one game against the Packers. They caught lightning in the bottle for one game. You had a honeymoon period of Michael Parsons. They beat him. Yada yada yada. Lions are firing all cylinders offensively. I don't trust this Chiefs offense, even with Patrick Mahomes at the helm running the offense. They just don't have the weapons. Xavier Worthy is playing better, but with the lack of a run game, you're gonna get into a shootout with the Lions if you can't run the ball, and you're not going to that shootout against that team. Amon-Ra has been statistically one of the best receivers in football, and they have the best backfield in football. They're going to keep Patrick Mahomes off the field, and yeah, I score prediction for this one. I got it 31-14 Lions.
31-14. Okay. Yeah, and this one, I got the Detroit Lions. Initially, I had the Kansas City Chiefs coming off a tough loss from Jacksonville, thinking that, this could be their get-right game, but this is not the team that you get right with. Detroit Lions offense is looking like they never lost Ben Johnson. His schematics helped, but at the same time, this team is just loaded with talent, top to bottom, from O-line to tight end to running backs. And like you said, you alluded to yourself, they do have the best 1-2 punch in the league, and it's not even close. With Jahmyr Gibbs, taking the quick little dump off passes, David Montgomery doing all the dirty work down in the goal line situations. But yeah, in this one, I probably have Detroit, probably say 27-17. And then for Monday night, we got a double header. First one leading off with Buffalo versus the Atlanta Falcons. Who do you got in this one?
Buffalo. Atlanta they got zipped out by Carolina. Like 30-0 to Carolina a couple weeks ago. You just don't know what kind of Atlanta you're gonna get. They're either gonna score a lot or score a little. No in between. I think this can be a kind of like, in a sense, a get right game for Buffalo. They looked really off to me Sunday night. James Cook, they didn't look like James Cook. I don't know what was wrong Sunday night. I think I think that was more so better Patriots than it was the Bills being bad. I just think the Patriots played a really great game. But yeah, I got the Bills.
Yeah, I got the Bills as well. I definitely think this is their get right game. It's just always those division games where the records are thrown out. It doesn't matter anymore. You guys know each other at this point. You play each other twice a year, every year. The coaches know each other at this point. So, I think the Patriots just outplayed Buffalo, and I also think Buffalo just played themselves. I think they just played horrible from beginning to end and got their asses handed to them. So, yeah, I definitely got Buffalo in this one against Atlanta. Michael Penix, is he going to keep that momentum going from the week before the bye where he actually looked pretty solid, or is he going to look like Michael Penix from the first 3 games of the season? And then moving into the next game, we have my Chicago Bears versus the Washington Commanders, a rematch of the 1-2 pick from last year. Who do you got in this one?
Bears are coming off a bye, so I want to lean towards the Bears. But also, you guys are so banged up on the defense side of the ball, which concerns me 100%. This is going to be a very close game, high scoring, I think, because I do think the Commanders are struggling a lot on the defense side of the ball too. They need to figure it out on the defense side of the ball, especially with having Dan Quinn as your head coach. The defense should be a lot better than what it is, but it isn't. Close game. I think it's going to be a shootout, higher scoring because the defenses aren't playing too well. I'm going to slightly lean the Bears because I'm going to go Ben Johnson this matchup. I'm going to go 34. I'm going to go 34-31 Bears.
Oh, okay. I have to take my Chicago Bears in this one. I need this victory, after the infamous Fail Mary last year with Tyreek Stevenson celebrating before the play even, or mid-play, I should say. And our whole season fell apart after that. On the bright side, we got rid of Eberflus. Yeah, Chicago on the defensive side, it's been rough with losing Jalen Johnson practically most of the season. Probably won't be back until about week 15, 16. And even then, if we're not even in contention, I don't see the need to rush him back. Good news is we're probably going to get Kyler Gordon, who is our second best corner at this point. Nickel, great at blitzing. Grady Jarrett at the nose tackle right now is looking like he's still going to miss. We are going to get back Austin Booker. Get some much needed, rotation pieces on that D line because we can't rush the quarterback to save our lives this season. We have, I believe, 5 sacks on the season, and it's all split between 5 guys. So at this point, we need Montez Sweat come out, Washington Commanders, get a revenge game, get a couple of sacks, keep Jaden Daniels under duress with that knee brace that he has on right now. I don't see his mobility being as high as it was prior to the injury. So, get him under pressure. And I definitely think the Bears have a chance to take this one. I have it being narrow as well. I probably have it 24-21, a little lower scoring, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah. So for the next topic, this is someone that we discussed a while back, and Elias, and I have had a lot of conversations about these guys off camera. Now we're putting it on camera. We're kind of be going through grading the sophomore quarterbacks, kind of ranking them. We'll already start with the number one overall pick, Caleb Williams. I'll go first on this one because he's the Bears fan, so he's got a lot to say in it, I'm sure. For me, Caleb hasn't progressed or regressed as of right now. For me personally, he's not playing worse than he was last year. He has had a flash where he looks better than he did last year. I think the issue that Caleb is struggling with right now is he needs to play within the Ben Johnson system. And then once he learns the system, he could be the Caleb where he takes off, makes plays with his legs, kind of airs it out more. He just needs to adjust to that Ben Johnson system to really succeed and be great in the NFL. I do think he has the potential, but he still is making the air to parent throws, making some overthrows, trying to make too many plays, just forcing the ball downfield, gets picked off. And he's made some bad throws. He's made some good throws this year. He's made some dumb plays, like we talk about it with against the Raiders, that read option where he's completely botched it and fumbled it. That's one of his worst plays that he's had so far this year. Overall grade, I'd give Caleb a C plus, just because he hasn't progressed or regressed. I do think he has potential to get a lot higher by the end of the year, but I do think he just needs to buy into the Ben Johnson system, learn the system, play within the offense, and then it'll come. Then he could be himself and really take strides to be great in this league.
Yeah, and I was going back and forth on this. I initially had Caleb Williams as a B. I'm probably going to lean more towards a B minus. I do believe that, he needs to start taking a little bit more of the easy ones. Find Cole Kmet, just a quick little dump down pass. Find Swift off to the side. Let him cook. That's what he does best. He's not doing the greatest running in between the tackles, but get him in open field, and that's where he makes magic happen. Right now, Caleb on the year has 927 yards passing, 8 touchdowns, 2 INTs, 62.3% completion percentage. So you would like to see that up a little bit, but it is up from last year. Right now, he's 64.9 in QBR, which ranks 12th in the NFL. Why I was leaning towards a B, but I am going to go a B minus because he did have an awful game against the Vikings, but he wasn't getting a lot of credit for playing that Vikings defense. It was the first game of the year. People weren't sure if they're going to be as legit as last year, and the Vikings are very much legit as a defense, just like they were last year. With a 2-2 record, it comes down to like how our offense is playing right now. We can't run the ball, so the Raiders just had 7 back and rushed 4 the whole game. Sometimes they only rush 3. So it's kind of hard to get your receivers open when that happens. But I do believe that I've seen progression from first game to second game to third game to fourth game. So I do like to see that. And I hope that he can keep the momentum going forward.
I'm really surprised you did not give a biased take on that one. I'll be honest with you. I took a lot of bias out of that one.
I gotta be unbiased on that one.
All right. Next quarterback, number 2 overall, Jaden Daniels. This one is personally very hard for me to grade this year because he was injured. The first 2 games he didn't play like the Jaden Daniels of last year. That's for sure. Teams got film on him. So they're going to figure that out as he plays more. Like you said, he's playing with the brace right now. He's kind of just knocking off that rust still. So it's really hard to grade someone that had such a good year last year, with the injury this year, trying to get back in the swing of things. I give Jaden Daniels a C for now, just because I know he can be. And what we expect of him is to be kind of what he was last year. I don't think he'll have a CJ Stroud regression like CJ Stroud has had from his rookie year to his sophomore year, because I do think Jaden Daniels is in a slightly better system to succeed than CJ Stroud was. But yeah, for now, I'm going to give Jaden Daniels a solid C, just because I think he will get better as the year progresses. Once he knocks off that rust and gets into his flow and groove, finds his rhythm, he will progress through the year.
Yeah, I have Jaden Daniels as a C as well. Right now in the season, he has 664 yards passing, 4 touchdowns to 0 INT. So he is protecting that ball. His completion percentage is way down this year at 59.2%. and his QBR right now is at 45.5, which ranks 23rd in the NFL. So, of course, he does struggle with the injury right now. He just kind of got back. Looked pretty solid, especially in that last throw to seal the game against the Los Angeles Chargers last week. But, yeah, I don't know. Something just kind of seems off with him. He's looking like he's not taking as many chances. Looks like he's playing it safe. And even then, the completion percentage is really down. Of course, it doesn't help that Terry McLaurin's been hurt for the better part of the year. So his lead weapon being Deebo Samuel, looking legit, looking back to like the prime 49ers Deebo Samuel. But, other than that, you got an old Zach Ertz, not a whole lot of weapons on that offense, but great coaching staff, great system. I'm sure he'll bounce back.
Yeah, so going on the next quarterback, the third overall quarterback taking in this draft was Drake May, who the Patriots have their future. No way to put it. They have the future. Drake May is legit. He looked great last week against the Bills. He's looked good all year. He's making Stephon Diggs have a resurgence now that he's throwing the ball to him. I do think the Patriots do need to get him one more weapon at least on to throw to. Because Drake May is incredible. He has great arm strength. He makes the right play majority of the time. And he's with Josh McDaniels, who is a great offensive mind. He's the worst head coach of all time, arguably. But he has a great offensive mind. Mike Vrabel got him come back because the only reason he came back to coaching was because he got Drake May to work with, and coach.
Yeah.
So Drake May, right now, honestly, I'm gonna give him probably a solid A, maybe even an A plus. He's been the best quarterback this far out this class. I know last year his stats didn't show it, but he literally had nothing to work with last year. But he was making something out of nothing. And this year, we're really seeing what Drake May has to work with. Now that he has a Mike Vrabel as head coach who set a culture, he's kind of an embodiment of that Mike Vrabel system that everyone wanted to learn and love. I personally was begging the Eagles to bring Mike Vrabel in as a DC when he got let go from the Titans. Unfortunately, we didn't that year, the 2023 year. I don't want to talk about that year. Black that out as an Eagles fan. But yeah, I got Drake May as an A or A plus, and he has, to me, definitively been the best quarterback out of this class. And yes, I would even take him over Jake Daniels.
Okay, kind of a crazy hot take right there. This year only being the grade, I would give Drake May an A minus. Right now, he is leading the rookie class in passing yards. He has 1,261 passing yards to 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a crazy completion percentage of 73.9, and a QBR of 63.9, ranking 14th in the NFL, 2 spots behind my Caleb Williams. But aside from QBR, no, Drake May's been balling. He looks legit as of right now. Yeah, he looks like the best quarterback in that draft class this year. It's a toss-up right now. This year, he looks like the best. You take both years into account. It's Jaden Daniels for me slightly because he did win a lot of those big games going into that playoff run. But yeah, no, Drake May look special this year. Maybe get him another weapon, like you said, and he can probably take off pretty well from there. And, maybe even a dark horse playoff team right there. We'll see.
Definitely. Next quarterback up, Michael Penix. We kind of said it earlier when we touched on the game. You don't know what you're gonna get out of him. Sometimes good, sometimes terrible. One thing I will give him credit for is he's making Kyle Pitts look decent, at least.
Yeah.
At least that's one thing Michael Penix is doing. I don't know what it is with him that he has games where he's great, games where he's horrible. And that shouldn't be a thing with the talent he has around him. You have Bijan Robinson, you have Drake London, you have Kyle Pitts. Darnell Mooney is now back. I'm not saying Darnell Mooney is a world beater, but he is a solid, competent receiver and a good weapon for that team to have. Yeah. But Penix is he's just not taking over the offense the way I thought he would. Like I said, he got zipped out by Carolina. Like, that should not be a thing, whether that's coaching or just him playing poorly, which it was him playing poorly too. Penix on the year, I'm gonna give him fudge. I'm gonna give him like a D minus, borderline F. I'm not trying to be harsh to him, but like, you can't be that inconsistent. And I am gonna knock you if you get zipped out by the Panthers. Like, I gotta take away some points for that one.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, Michael Penix on the year, I have him at a D plus. Playing his best game right before the bye against the Commanders, finally got Drake London featured in that offense. About time. Bijan just looks like a world beater, so that helps. But with that running back being in the room and dominating the way he is, you have the weapons around you the way you do, and you still are struggling. The only reason why I gave him that plus and not a solid D is he did look good in this last game. But the 3 games prior to that, he looked awful. He looked lost. He looked like, he hadn't been studying the same offense for the last year and a half, 2 years. So, yeah, Michael Penix on the year, 918 yards passing, 3 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, 62.4% completion, and a 57.6 QBR, 17th in the NFL, which is pretty generous. But, yeah, no, he just looks lost. Hopefully he can string together a couple more games like the last one, but I guess we'll see moving to the future.
All right, up next, a very controversial one for you because I know you hate this guy, JJ McCarthy, the Minnesota Vikings. I'm gonna be just very honest about this one. I'm not even gonna grade him. He had a great fourth quarter against the Bears. I will give him that. He played out of his mind, but other than that, he's had 1 good quarter out of 8 quarters. So 7 bad quarters, 1 good quarter. But it's very hard for me to grade him too because up until the Bears game, that's his first time playing an actual football game since the national championship that he won at Michigan, So
Yeah.
he's still not getting out the rust. He hasn't even had a chance to get into a rhythm. I'm not gonna really give him a grade. Because I don't think there's a fair way to grade him. Yeah, I could grade him off the 7 of his 8 quarters. But like I said, he hasn't had a chance to get any type of rhythm. Kind of similar to Jaden Daniels, I give a C, more so based on like what he could be. JJ, I can't really grade him because I don't know what he can be when he actually has the rust fully off of him. He's in the flow of a Kevin O'Connell offense, who Kevin O'Connell is a quarterback whisperer to an extent. Got Sam Darnold paid, 14-win team last year with Sam Darnold. It's a system to be successful if you're any quarterback. So if I'm JJ McCarthy, come back, let the game come to you. Play within the O'Connell system. You have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison to throw a ball to. If you mess that up, then you just don't deserve to be a starting quarterback in the NFL if you can't make it work with those 2 guys catching the ball from you. But yeah, so I'll be honest, I'm not giving McCarthy a grade.
Yep, that's fair. All right, let's see. I will give JJ McCarthy a grade off his 8 quarters
Shocker.
of football. I'm giving him a flat out F.
So
No, in all fairness, I will give him a D minus. I'll bump it up because he did whoop my Bears in that final quarter of week 1. His stats on the year: 301 yards passing, 2 touchdowns to 3 INTs, 58.5% completion, 21.6 QBR. It's so bad I couldn't even find a ranking for it. Yeah, he just looks awful. He looks lost. He looked like a deer in headlights against the Bears up until that fourth quarter. It's almost like they gave him smelling salts and he was just out of his mind and, just went into a trance state. But yeah, he just hasn't looked good. That offense was not moving. Justin Jefferson was barely getting targeted. Even when he was getting overthrown, underthrown, thrown into triple coverage. It looked awful all around. And it's bad when you let Carson Wentz run the same exact offense and it finally starts moving and it finally starts scoring. But in all fairness, again, he missed a whole year of football. He's coming back to it. So I do believe that he will bounce back a bit. It will be to be seen what he can do with this offense because, like you said, with Kevin O'Connell, it's a solid system. He's one of the best play callers in the league right now. Justin Jefferson, top 3, if not top 2 receiver in the league, might even be number 1 talent-wise. Jordan Addison, one of the top number 2s in the league. Hawkinson, if he can stop running routes like Travis Kelce, that'd be nice. But yeah, he definitely has a great offense, a great system. I think he'll be fine. But just grading off the 8 quarters, I got to give him a D minus.
Can't say I'm surprised by that rating that you gave JJ McCarthy. I think there's some hate in your heart for that, but that's not here or there. Up next, Bo Nix. Bo Nix, I am going to give a B minus. That might be a little higher than what some people expect for Bo Nix based on how he's played so far this year. But I think he had the get right game against Cincinnati. He didn't look the best against the Eagles, but that fourth quarter he came and he dotted us up. I won't even lie to you. Cortland Sutton had a great game against Quinyon Mitchell guarding him. Cortland Sutton, to me, is probably one of the most underappreciated wide receiver ones in the league. Bo Nix has a great target in him. That run game is getting going. with J.K. Dobbins being the shocker of the year so far. You have R.J. Harvey to help him out in the run game, in the pass game as well. Bo Nix, I think he's in the best system to be successful under Sean Payton because we've seen it with Drew Brees. But I think he's in the best situation to be the most successful because of Sean Payton. So,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so with my grade on him, I'm going to give him a C. And the only reason why, statistically wise, he's done fine. 1,100 passing yards to 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 64.8% completion, 55 QBR on the year, which is 19th in the NFL. I don't know if he's just the Cincinnati Bengals of quarterbacks. I don't know if he just naturally starts slow and starts ramping up as the year goes on. But he's almost reminiscent of how he started off last year, where it looked all bad. It didn't look great. Obviously, this year, it's not all bad. He had some bright moments here and there, obviously beating the Eagles. So that was a good moment for him. Made some great passes. Him and Cortland Sutton are humming right now. So I definitely think Bo Nix is a solid C right now. Much to be desired, but with Sean Payton, that offense is finally starting to click now. So maybe just a slow start. I think he'll be fine. But, see, this is what happens when you christen these rookie quarterbacks as top 5 QBs the following year without, getting a little bit more workload underneath their belt. But, expectations were super high of him, and maybe the expectations kind of fell a bit. Now he's falling into his own, and he could just go ball out without all these crazy expectations of him.
Yeah, no, 100%. And he has the path to do it right now. I mean, you got the Jets this weekend in London. You come back, you play the Giants. You got the Cowboys, Texans, and Raiders. Those are all teams with very not good defenses. So this would be a time for Bo Nix to find that rhythm. In the second half of the season, just ride the momentum, ride the wave, and get hot. I mean, you have the next few games to really do that because you're not playing any of the top defenses in the NFL. Yeah, Max Crosby may give you problems against the Raiders. But other than that, I think he'll be good to grade these next few games because it favors him. Next up, Spencer Rattler. He's probably the most interesting of them so far because he's actually playing very well. The Saints definitely aren't losing because of him. I can tell you that much. I will guarantee you this: Tyler Sutt will not see the field this year because of how good Spencer Rattler is playing. He is learning the Kellen Moore system, which isn't too intricate. It's very simplified, and you just need the talent to be good at that. You just need the talent to really be successful with the Kellen Moore calling plays. Like you said earlier, Chris Olave just can't stay healthy. It really hinders Spencer Rattler. Juwan Johnson has looked great, actually.
Yeah.
Because of Spencer Rattler, because he's kind of force feeding him. He has one of the prettiest deep balls in the NFL, in my opinion. That one diffused onto Shaheed, like that is a beautiful deep ball. He has a cannon for an arm, and he's playing within the offense. He's not really forcing too much. He knows when to when to take off and run. He knows when it's okay to eat a sack.
What did he say?
That's kind of the issue I had with Caleb
last
year. I'm not using it as a slight, but Spencer Rattler has really learned like sometimes it's okay to take sacks. Caleb doesn't take a sack sometimes. Yes, it sucks to get hit as a quarterback, but sometimes your play caller will be more than okay with you taking a sack instead of forcing the ball downfield and gets turned over, Yeah. So I think Spencer Rattler, like I said, he's probably in the worst situation possible right now. New coach, new regime, not much talent to work with. Kellen Moore is not really using Alvin Kamara in the system the way I thought he would.
Yeah.
I think it could maybe just to preserve his trade value. I can see them offloading him just to create that young core and build around Spencer Rattler. I'll give Spencer Rattler I'll give him a C plus B minus. Just because he's doing the best out of the worst situation possible. They're probably going to have a top 5 pick next year. Hopefully try to draft against some weapons, get some O-line help there. Like I said, I think he'd be successful in the Kellen Moore system because it's nothing crazy to learn. You just need the weapons to be really good in the system. And I think if you get Spencer out of the weapons, he could take advantage of that. And even if he doesn't, even if the Saints are insistent on Tyler Sutt for whatever reason, Spencer Rattler will have he will be a starting quarterback in the NFL, even if the Saints don't decide to ride with him.
Yeah, my grade for Spencer Rattler, roughly the same. I got him at a C+ for honestly just degree of difficulty. Like we alluded to the matchup earlier with the Saints, and there's just a huge lack of talent on that team. They're just bad from top to bottom. Kamara looks washed at this point. Kendre Miller's looking like they're going to start rolling with him and possibly sell off Kamara at this point, give him to a contender. But Spencer Rattler on the year right now is at 990 yards passing, 6 touchdowns to 1 interception. He's completing the ball at 67.2%. QBR is about 57 right now, which is 18th in the NFL. I don't believe they're losing these games because of Spencer Rattler. I think he's giving them opportunities to take advantage of it, but he's not necessarily winning them their games, but he's definitely not the reason why they're losing.
100%.
He could be, a quarterback for now. I don't know, quarterback for the future. I'll have to see a lot more from him. But then again, he needs a better roster around him. Kellen Moore, I do believe in his play calling, so I guess we'll see moving forward how he coaches them.
Totally agree with you. That's pretty much it for the sophomore quarterbacks. That's a great term, guys. I think this will be a great, talented group of guys. I think all of them will be starters in the league for years to come, barring injury, of course. So to close out the show, guys, we're going no huddle hot takes. This one is going to be a little kind of quick, kind of how it sounds. No huddle and hot takes. We got a few each. I got like 1 or 2 that are kind of burning right now. One of them being that JSN has been the best offensive player in football this year, in my opinion. Like I said, he has 18 less receptions than Puka Nacua, has only 54 less yards, and he's not getting force-fed. He's just getting open, making plays, and he's been great all year. He's been a great asset to Sam Darnold. People really doubted JSN, in my opinion, coming into the year. I was very high on him, as you know. I discussed him with you for fantasy. I told you he was going to be a league winner, and he has been so far this year. Yeah. So definitely shout out and props to JSN for really elevating to be that wide receiver 1. Even though I thought he should have been in last year, even with DK being there, I just don't think DK is as good as people make him out to be. Personally, very weak route tree there. The other one is the Packers are frauds. These guys suck. They lost to the Browns and tied with the Cowboys. Like, they were the week 1 Warriors. They beat the Packers. Rah, rah, rah. Have a great week 2. But then you lose to Joe Flacco's Browns. Not Shedeur Sanders Browns. Not the Dylan Gabriel Browns. The Joe Flacco Browns. The guy who's got benched for Dylan Gabriel. Granted, Flacco's 40, but he lost a 40-year-old quarterback that isn't Aaron Rodgers. And then you tied. You tied with the Cowboys. You gave up 40 points to the Cowboys at that. You gave up 2 first-round picks and another player for Micah Parsons, who didn't do crap in that whole game.
Yeah, 1.5 sacks on the year for Micah Parsons. And, I definitely agree with your Packers hot take. I definitely think that, they're christened the next Super Bowl champions after the first week. You had mentioned it earlier about the honeymoon period being with Micah Parsons. And yeah, it's all fun and games, but it comes to an end, and Micah Parsons just doesn't look like the best defensive player this year. Honestly, Nick Benito is my front runner right now for defensive player of the year, and he's underrated as hell. For my 2 hot takes right now, I got number 1 that Mac Jones looks comparable to Brock Purdy. I know we're not going off of a whole lot right now, but they almost look very similar in that Shanahan system right now. I'm starting to think that, or go ahead. I'll let you.
I'll raise you one on this. Had Mac Jones got drafted originally at 3 to the Niners, they would have a Super Bowl by now with Mac Jones.
Okay, that's the hottest of takes.
It's the hottest of takes, but here's the thing. Is Mac Jones is a more talented quarterback than Brock Purdy is. There's no arguing that. I know one person that's going to hear this podcast, and he's going to argue me to the death. I'm not going to name names. You know who you are when you see this.
He's coming for us.
But Mac Jones is a better quarterback for the Kyle Shanahan system because he has more talent than Purdy. Purdy's been in the system longer, yes, so he knows it better. But the more talented guy will learn it better and be the better fit. And guess what? Next year's going to happen. it's gonna be a Sam Darnold situation. Mac Jones will go somewhere, ball out.
Yeah, I mean, just the feel of the game, the eye test, just Mac Jones looks solid. And I mean, I always thought Brock Purdy looked solid. I always thought he was a middle of the pack quarterback. I've heard rumblings from other, news sources and commentators or whatever that they had him ranked in the top 10, top 5, but I definitely don't agree with that. And seeing Mac Jones with no weapons whatsoever, not the 7 Pro Bowlers on offense or whatever they had 2 years ago, but yeah, he looks solid. My second hot take, Baker for MVP. The dude's just absolutely balling out. He's got balls of steel, got the biggest balls you've seen.
Why are you gay?
Pause, but he's got right now in the year 1,283 passing yards, 10 touchdowns to only 1 INT. And keep in mind, first couple of games were without Godwin. They get Godwin back, but then they lose Mike Evans. Like you were saying earlier, Ibuka just looks legit. I kept looking at him and, I watched him back in his college days for Ohio State, and I just knew this dude was going to be a baller. And this is the age-old saying, like, just get the guy who's good at football. A lot of these GMs just try to get creative, and they try to outsmart everyone and think they're the smartest in the room by taking all of these, build for the future players, these project players. But sometimes you just got to draft that dude who's good at football. And he's showing every bit of it. And not only is he good at football, he's insane. He's great at football. Mm-hmm. Right now, Baker's 4-1 with the Buccaneers. He's got one more game against the abysmal Falcons, and he's got 2 more games against the Saints and Panthers in that division. I mean, they're going to run away with that division, no doubt. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I right now, my front runner for MVP, even though it seemed like the first few weeks is going to be Josh Allen by a landslide. No, I think Baker is going to give him a run for his money, as well as anyone else in that conversation.
Definitely don't disagree with you with that one. Baker is the front runner. If he keeps a hot hand, I can't see him win the MVP because they're definitely winning their division. That division is atrocious. If they were to somehow lose that division, then I have no words. That just fire the whole staff if they somehow lose that division. So definitely Baker is the front runner. The only other person that's really giving competition is Jared Goff. Outside of week 1, Jared Goff has been playing some really great football, as we've gone to know and learn that this is a quarterback award more than a actual MVP award. Because as we saw last year, it should have been Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry. My bias does come in for Saquon, but it should have been one of those 2 guys, in my opinion. But yeah, I definitely don't disagree. I think Baker can win MVP. Probably this so far, like I said, thus far is the MVP so far. But like I said, he needs to finish the year strong, get the division crown, keep playing with the hot hand, and he will win the MVP. Because right now he has created a solid gap between him and everyone else for that award.
Yeah, I mean, see how the year plays out. So are you saying Jared Goff is your dark horse candidate for MVP right now?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you lose Ben Johnson, who is an offensive wizard. 100% he is. And Jared Goff he's become, I understand, like, he does have his playoff woes at times, but he's proven people wrong time and time again. Like, yes, does he have the talent around him? Yeah, he has immense talent around him, but he is using it to his fullest potential, and we're seeing it. Mm-hmm. I think that it would have been the Eagles and them in the NFC Championship last year had they not dealt with all their injuries, and that would have been a close game for us. I think we were just so red hot that we still would have beat them. But I think no matter who came out of the NFC was winning the Super Bowl last year, whether it's us or the Lions.
I agree.
All right, guys, that will do it for episode 0 of the Fourth and Clutch podcast. We kind of gave you guys an idea of what the podcast is going to be about. It was very football heavy because, I mean, it is peak NFL season right now. As the kind of go through the rest of the year, football starts to die off. We will get into some NBA talk with the NBA right on the corner. Definitely some UFC stuff. Elias and I are both. I'm not gonna say we're like super fans of the UFC, like where we know every fight or anything like that. But it is something that him and I like to casually talk. And if there's a main card that you guys want us to talk about, we're more than willing to talk about it. And then, of course, come college football playoff time, definitely see me heavily invest into college football playoffs.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us for episode 0. Moving forward, we are going to start having new segments where we are going to have Darren give you guys some parlays to possibly hit. So keep your prize picks close by. And I'm definitely going to start doing some fantasy football advice. But appreciate you guys stopping in. And
that has been it for the Fourth and Clutch podcast. And we will see you guys for the first official episode coming soon. So stay tuned for that on our socials at Fourth and Clutch. Links will be in the description below. And we also have our personal socials as well down below. Other than that, guys, we are out.